If you are familiar with the looter shooter genre, there's a new game on the block that people are talking about, and that is the Outriders. The game that is being published by Square Enix, developed by People Who Can Fly. The game is set to be released on April 1st, but before that, the developers have put up a demo on the Steam page for people to test out before they actually make the purchase. And just like the rest of the community, I have played the demo as well, and I have a few thoughts about it, so let's talk about it. Strictly speaking, Outriders is an open world RPG looter shooter game which has co op elements as well if you wish to play with your friends, or online matchmaking is also available. You can play with a team of two other people, aka, you can play a team of three, or you can play as a solo player, however you wish. The game lets you play like so. What sets Outriders apart from its competitors is that it is not a live service video game. It does not have any loot boxes, season passes, or any other DLCs which you need to download or buy to actually play the game. It is strictly a you pay, you play kind of video game. You pay 60 euros or pounds or dollars or whatever it is that you pay wherever you are from. Once you pay it, you have all the content. In this day and age where every company is trying to go towards live service style video games, this is honestly a breath of fresh air. Now, I'm not being super optimistic or super positive about it or trying to hype up the game because we have seen companies previously go back on their word in regards to loot boxes or DLCs, and once the game has been released, they straight up implement these loot boxes. So I am being a little bit skeptical about it, but with optimism because the developers of Outriders seem to be very transparent with the direction they want to take the game towards. So I'm certainly interested in seeing what is going to happen to the game and how it's going to pan out. Let's talk about the demo and what it had to offer, right? The demo was around 3 to 5 hours long depending on how much you want to explore the world, but the prologue of the actual game itself is the demo. So either you play the demo now or you purchase the game on April 1st and play the game. The opening or the prologue is going to be the same, which is a very good thing. Now, of course, I'm not trying to spoil the demo story for you. If anything, I encourage you to go out there and play the demo yourself. But as far as the introductions go to the world, to the main characters, and why are we on this planet called Enoch, they seem pretty standard, pretty basic. You know, your typical the Earth is destroyed. We need a new planet. We need a new home. We find a new planet, but the planet has a lot of mysteries, and we have to figure out what these mysteries are. So but when I was playing the demo, I got this strange vibe, or it felt like a strange mix between Mass Effect slash Division slash Destiny, or at least these are the vibes that I was getting. But of course, I'm not going to judge what we saw in the demo because we don't know the complete story yet. But as far as introductions go, they are fine. They're not groundbreaking, they're not, industry defining, but they are good enough. They are not bad. Of course, I feel like the primary focus of the game is going to be figuring out these mysteries on this planet and us fighting against all kind of enemies. But yeah, that's what I think about the introductions and how I felt about the general vibe of the game. Just like any other looter shooter, we have character customization in this game too. But the character customization is pretty much basic. It is very basic. There's not a lot of things going on for it. All we have is a few face options, some hairstyles, some markings, and some piercing options. But other than that, it is very simple, very basic. But of course, since this is a looter shooter, we have a lot of loot and armor. So we get to grind for higher level armor. Now, the developers have mentioned that the armor in the game have extensive modding system where you get to tweak your armor, your skills, and what kind of armor you have to put together, which give you additional bonus to your playstyle. And since healing in this game is directly linked to how much damage you do, I can certainly see a potential in some amazing armor builds that can be developed or made by the community. It makes me, a player like me who never focuses on armor or stats or anything like that and just focuses on shooting, to think about what kind of build I need to run or what do I need to craft in order to make my build as efficient as possible as I progress towards the higher difficulty within the game. The team behind the game certainly do understand what is it that they need to focus in a looter shooter, and honestly provided enough loot in the demo itself to make you feel like it is worth your time. Of course, we are yet to see how it is going to pan out in the end, but in my books, this is a plus point. When we are talking about looter shooters, the first thing a looter shooter game should be focusing on is the shooting aspect. The way the shooting feels, or the way you use your abilities onto your enemies, make you feel like. And as far as the shooting goes, I'd say it has been a very standard experience. It did not feel like I was doing anything special nor anything extraordinary. It was not the worst, but it was not the best either. It was just fine. But when I was using my abilities, that is where I felt like the game is really shining. Using your abilities onto your enemies feels very nice, and it really felt like it packs a punch. And it really made me feel like a true outrider. I will talk about the abilities and classes in just a second, but I think the abilities are very well executed in the game, but the weapons themselves feel very mediocre. And I honestly worry that if there are not enough weapon types or weapon varieties, it is going to get very boring for players very quickly, and people are going to lose interest in playing because since 90% of the game requires you to shoot your weapons. So, that is where my truly worries are. The abilities are fine, but the shooting feels very standard, very average, nothing special. Talking about abilities and classes, this game offers 4 different classes, and each class has its own set of skills and abilities, which you can combine to make a loadout and fight your enemies. We have Technomancer, who is a long range support specialist. We have Pyromancer, who is a medium range character who controls fire. We have Trickster, who is even more of a close range and is more of a hit and run kind of class. And then we have Devastator, who is essentially a tank, who is built to stand his or her ground and support his or her allies. Great. What I do think is that the class varieties are very interesting, and I think that each class provides enough of a variation or enough difference so that it is very interesting and feel unique from each other. I was personally playing as Pyromancer. I was having a lot of fun burning through my enemies. It was very fun. I really wanted to play Pyromancer, and I just want to explore more of the abilities because right now you only have access to a limited number of abilities. Of course, when the full game comes out, you have full access to it. But I do want to play other classes as well. I want to see what do they offer. Now, regardless of what you play, what class you play, the gameplay loop, the gameplay mechanic, the story, and the content, they're all going to be the same. I'm sure we get a little bit of lore based on the class that you have selected, or maybe a little bit differences here and there, but I'm sure that 99.9% of the time, the entirety of the content is going to be the same, but that is to be expected, and that's how the things are in looter shooter. The variety is in the classes and in the abilities that you get, but not in the content itself. When we play looter shooters, the level design also plays a very important factor. The way the maps are built, the way we get to use our different abilities on different maps, and how we play in general. And it's sad to say that the level design in Outriders feels very basic at best. It felt like, an open map with some crates and some walls and pillars here and there for you to cover and get out of combat, but other than that, it didn't feel anything unique or anything amazing. Now, what does offset this is the enemy AI. I'm not saying that this is the best enemy AI in any game out there, but it is certainly better than Cyberpunk, I can say that much. And the enemies in the game constantly push you around and make you move from one cover to another. They use grenades, they use their own abilities to make you move. So that was interesting enough to make the map work. But all in all, the maps that were available in a demo felt very basic and very simple. I do have to give credit where the credit is due though. The maps in the demo and the overall general environment looks very good and feels very good. The maps look vibrant, it looks colorful, it looks exciting. There's a lot going around, and it's a very good experience to run around in these maps. Now, I didn't get to experience at the highest quality what the game has to offer because I was streaming, maybe because I was streaming and playing the game at the same time. So perhaps my PC was not able to stream and play the game at the highest, quality available. I was running the game on GTX 1060 with the Core i5, but for the most part, I was sticking around 55 to 60 FPS, and I think that's workable and doable. I wish I got a little bit extra out of it, but it is what it is. Maybe I have to tweak some settings, but all in all, the game does look great and it does feel good and it looks vibrant all across the board. The cinematics and the cutscenes in the game felt like they have a lot going on for them. There were multiple dialogue options. There was a very good interaction between characters. There was a lot of lore. You know, this is how you do it, Destiny. You don't tell me, you speak about the events that are happening to you. So that was a very good thing. But the biggest issue for me was the fact that the game decided to go with shaky cam or handheld style camera or handheld style cinematic cutscenes, which are honestly a sore to the eye. I was barely looking at the cinematics. They made me feel nauseous. I don't understand why games, need to replicate this actual movie style cutscenes. They don't work. Personally, I'm not a fan of them. If you like them, that's great, that's good for you, but for me, that was a negative experience. Also, when you are sprinting, there is this kind of motion blur to give you this extra feel of cool. But again, nobody likes motion blur. No gamer out there actually likes motion blur. I couldn't find a way to turn it off. Let me know in the comment section down below, how to turn it off. But again, if you enjoyed it, that's great. Tell me how you enjoyed it. But for me, these, cinematic cutscenes of, handheld style and the motion blur were just a pain, and I did not enjoy those bits at all. While I was playing the demo, the game managed to crash 6 times on me. That is not a very good sign. Now, I know that this is still a demo and they could still be working on actual optimization for the next month before the release. And I do hope that we don't experience these kind of crashes when the game actually launches. And dear developers of People Can Fly of this game, if you need more time to optimize the game, don't worry, take your time, but please release a well optimized game. We don't want another Cyberpunk situation. We very well appreciate as well optimized game as possible. Now, of course, by no means that the game was performing badly on my system. Like I mentioned before, I have a GTX 1060 and an i5. And for the most part, other than these crashes that I experienced, the game was running smoothly, around 50 to 60 FPS. Like I said, I was streaming at the same time, so maybe I was lacking a few frames because of that. But technically, the game sounds and seems to be solid, except a few crashes. So in the end, it was an 7 out of 10 experience for me. Few issues here and there. Those are my thoughts and first impressions on Outriders Demo. I am still debating whether or not I should purchase the game myself. I am interested in seeing where the game goes and what the game has to offer, but I'm still, still debating whether I should get it or not. If you want an update on what I do about this game, feel free to stop by my Twitter or Discord server, or come by my Twitch channel. I go live from Monday to Friday. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are your opinions? What do you think of the game? Did you play the demo? Are you going to invest your time and money into it? Thank you very much for watching. A sub to the channel will be massively appreciated, and see you guys in the next one. Rider out.
What the fuck is he? Oh, what? Oh, he's a trickster. He's got the trick.